Damn, here we go. Everybody, what's going on? It's me, the Elite Ace. We are live action. You already know what it is. Here to bring you this real world topic regarding the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, before I continue on, for anyone who's watching this video for the first time, I'm going to let you know right now, this is not one of those political, radical, left, right type of channels. Oh, the government this, the government that. This isn't that type of channel at all. However, I do cover real world topics from time to time, and I've covered quite a few under different categories. But I realized, like, this is something I never really touched on, anything, political or whatnot. So I said, well, let me discuss this because there are things that I want to say, just things I want to express, and I will continue to cover more videos regarding this situation as we get more information. But again, I just don't, want you to be like, okay, yeah, pretty good. I mean, I'm glad if you enjoy it, but if you think my whole channel is about this and it will be about this moving forward months and months ahead of time, that will not be the case. So with that being said, I keep it real here, so can't please everybody. If you say this, you piss off somebody, you say that, you piss off somebody. It is what it is. That's just the nature of life, especially the nature of YouTube, being a content creator. I can just be myself. If you try to please everyone, you would do more damage to yourself. So here we go. Now, the moment he was assassinated, well, when it actually happened, I didn't hear anything about it until I went on social media and I seen a post. And my initial reaction, I was thinking, that this isn't real, because people have played pranks before where they will lie and say this person's dead, or a person will fake their death. And I know he would not fake his death. Like, he wouldn't play that type of game. That's not something to play with. So I'm like, man, I know a lot of people don't like him and they disagree with him, so maybe they did that. So I went to actually look it up. I went to news and I started seeing the headlines. I was like, wait a minute. The headlines I was seeing was that he was shot. I didn't see that he was dead. So then I went on X, on Twitter. Twitter is a freaking cesspool. Man, if you don't manage your settings, man, I've seen things on Twitter. I say, oh, hell no, what the hell? So, and right there, that's when I seen the assassination, raw and uncut. Obviously, no, I'm not gonna reenact it or whatnot, but I just wasn't expecting that. Nobody was expecting it. And for a millisecond, I'm like, this can't be AI. And since I don't like to see stuff like that, I only watched it once, and then it went on automatic loop, and then I stopped it halfway. Because some people, when you see certain things, you can't unsee it. But even though I've seen worse on the internet, I've seen a lot worse. And something like that, you're not supposed to see that. Like, there's a time you would go through life without seeing no one dying. No one dying. And a lot of people can become desensitized to things. That almost happened with me at one point. I was on Instagram. I can't believe this page is on Instagram. I don't even remember the name of the page, and that's kind of a good thing. Not kind of a good thing. It is a good thing. But if I have to really try to remember, I think it was what? Yes, we show this, or yeah, what you're seeing is real. And the whole feed is just videos of just death. Either some Final Destination freak accidents, animals, murders, police videos. And I found myself watching 5 of those types of videos. Because first I'm like, no, that can't be. Oh my God. Damn, I rewind it. And then I have to tell myself, stop watching this. Because I'm thinking, like, what is going on? You want to see this, then you're going to become desensitized to it. You're going to want to see more and more. It reminds me back when I was real little. You all remember the Faces of Death. How you can order it. That is just crazy to me if you think about how sick and twisted that is. This company was selling videos of people dying on VHS. 1-800 Faces of Death. You can just see, lady trying to beat the train. She just exploded. It's crazy. So anyway, so I only seen the video once, and then I stopped it halfway again. And I was thinking to myself, man, if he lives, that will be a miracle, because that amount of blood that gushed out and right in the neck. And it's up for debate if he had advanced, if it ricocheted, all this type of stuff. People reenacting the shot. all that type of stuff. We just don't know. So I was like, yeah, it was a bulletproof vest. No, look at the little dot right here. Well, his shirt went this way. If you see it's so, well, why did his ring switch? It was everything. The internet blew up. It's still blowing up. It's still blowing up. And again, I was like, damn, I wasn't, happy. Like, yes, he's dead. Because you have to have some hate in your heart, or the person has to be like truly evil, like on some Hitler type stuff. Because while I will not celebrate the death of this man, I'm gonna be real. I wasn't like sad or or down and out about it, because he said a few things I agree with, and then he said some other things. I'm putting this video as well that I'm like, did you just say what? What are you trying to say? You coming off as this? Nah, see, I know where you going with this. It's, and I've seen quite a few videos of this man. The patterns, debate styles, just a lot of things. And at one point, I was thinking to myself, like, who is this guy? Like, before, he was assassinated, I had to do my research. Like, why is he so important? What is this? What's up with these change my mind, type of debates? And the thing about those debates, you could call it a form of baiting, because to me, you all may disagree, but to me, the intent was never for his mind to get changed. His mind was always made up. And he would go around these college campuses and debate these college kids. Some of them were just, some were off their rocker. Some couldn't debate well. And I noticed that pattern, like, he debates more of the youth than he does people his age or older. And I know he had his own, like a podcast type show as well. I think the Charlie Kirk show. Now, of course, some would say he was reaching out to the youth so he can inspire, motivate, get people more to the right. I've seen everything in terms of his motives. Some was saying he was just trying to make America better. Then someone saying, he was racist, or we're going to get into that. It was just so many things. But I remember when he went to debate, those British college students, man, they were a different breed. Their debate style, their maturity, the way they handled themselves was way better than a lot of these college kids here in America. But they were giving Charlie Kirk a run for his money. You all know what I'm talking about. If not, look it up. Look it up. And you can see his demeanor. You can tell when, you can see it in his energy, his face, his body language when he's losing a debate or when he's getting frustrated. Or you can tell when the audience is clapping and not for him, it gets to him. Because I never seen him handle himself like that when he was debating those college kids and over there, those British college kids. So here's the thing. I can't remember the name of the university. I can't remember the name. But see, the reason why I'm not sad and down and out that he's gone, and I get, yes, he has a wife and 2 daughters. A lot of people are saying that, he had a wife and 2 daughters. Damn near a lot of people have families. There were some evil men. Hold on, I'm not saying he was evil, but there were evil men all throughout history. Evil people, bad people that have families. I'm just saying people was using that as, they're trying to weaponize that towards the people who didn't feel bad that he was gone, or people who were celebrating his death. Like, how dare you? He had a family. You had other people, like, everybody got a family. That's supposed to make someone, that's supposed to make me like him more. That's supposed to excuse the things that he said. Or that's automatically supposed to give us a better connection. Maybe the ones who do have a family, I don't have a family. So maybe that's why I'm like, okay. By default, yes, that is messed up. That she has to, continue on, live on without a husband. His children have to grow without a father. And I believe his last words were gang violence. Right there. And then the bullet struck. So back to why I'm like, that's messed up, but I didn't lose any sleep. He did say a few things that I agreed with. For example, his take on firearms. I always felt that it's the people who kill people in terms of the guns. Not everybody needs to have a firearm. You have people, even when they're in their right mind, they're still reckless, and things can happen. Then you have people who are hot-headed, are vindictive. They just have nothing to lose. There are a lot of people that do not need firearms. But however, having the right to bear arms, I mean, hey, I've seen a lot of videos and read a lot of cases that when someone had that firearm on them, they saved the day. There was some nut job came up in the church and someone had their piece on them and they shot the person, saved all those lives, you know. And then you have the unfortunate mass shootings. But it's like, and I get it. They talk about, you know, cracking down on gun laws and gun control, but when it's these mass shootings, these school shootings, especially when these youth have these guns, you have to be like, where did they get the guns from? You know, so you can't blame the gun stores. I would like to think that the gun stores are being responsible. They would get sued, locked up, shut down everything if they actually sold guns to a minor. That is against the law, or sell a gun to a felon. But that's the crazy thing about these guns. There are so many ways to get firearms. So many people have illegal firearms. It is crazy. Or firearms not registered to them. But yeah, I have nothing against guns at all. I mean, someone walk up in your home, hey, or now I know there's different laws, different states. Someone comes in, you can't shoot them, or you got to shoot them below the waist, things like that. But it's to protect you, and especially if you have a family. What man, what person, period, but especially what man doesn't want to protect his family? I mean, again, someone walks on your property into your home trying to break in. I remember there was a video of this guy, this ex-girlfriend, the ex-boyfriend of this girlfriend. He think he was banging on the door. He kept trying to kick in the door. The father warned him many times. Then he warned him, I have a gun. Get off my property. Get away from the door. And I think he shot through the door. He killed the guy. To me, it was justified. This man had a family to protect. Just imagine if you had a daughter and her ex-boyfriend. I mean, hey, it is what it is. Now, some people, they will just open the door, choke slam a mother sucker, but that could be reckless because he can have a gun as well. Man, the things he would say regarding black people, oh boy. And I already know what live you're gonna say. Did you take those clips out of context? Did you see the whole interview? Did you see the whole thing? Yes, I seen the whole interview before. But then it'd be extra little something.
I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that
before.
That's not
who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
Because of DEI, it begs the question: when you see a black pilot, you wonder. You say, I hope they are qualified. I wouldn't think that if the CEO of United or these airlines would reject DEI and say excellence is the ultimate standard. Is if I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily wholesome. It creates resentment, doesn't it, Heather? No one really cares when it's HR managers. No one cared when it was, just kind of paper shufflers or even engineers. But now when it's like, wait, hold on a second. You're going to remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian.
Charlie Kirk has no problem putting his true beliefs about anyone who isn't a white, rabid conservative like him on full display.
So that it hurts my heart because doing what I love has been kind of taken away from me to please other people. Yeah, that's the point, Simone Biles. You're representing your nation, you're selfish sociopath. You kidding me? We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles. Again, if you want to be, if she got all these mental health problems, don't show up. She's an incredible athlete. Of course she's an incredible athlete. I'm not saying, I just said she's probably the greatest gymnast of all time. She's also very selfish, she's immature, and she is a shame to the country. She's totally a sociopath. Of course she's a sociopath. Andrew says she's not a sociopath. What kind of person skips the gold medal match? Who does that? It's a shame to the nation. LeBron James is a self-interested, narcissistic, and we know he's not very smart. He does these press conferences where he thinks he's making sense spiritually and freedom of speech. But he's a product of his time. What would you expect from LeBron James?
It's cool to insult America. It's cool to sell yourself out to China. Not very bright, not wise, not somebody of good character, but as a blowhard. He'll never have to apologize. He'll never have to admit failure. And of course, everyone knows that LeBron James chronically cheats on his wife, obviously. He's an NBA player. Savannah James should be asked by that, hey, how do you feel about your husband like cheating on you all the time? But that's just how the NBA works. The whole thing is an open marriage. He's immoral in almost everything he does. He shouldn't be lifted up, but I don't think most Americans do. He would obviously stand for the China national anthem, and he can't even show a modicum of respect for the country that has given him everything.
Including generational black athletes like Simone Biles and the right wing's favorite target, LeBron James, spreading baseless lies and playing into the bigot stereotypes that his base responds to.
Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King. Period. End of story.
While also having the gall to tell the black community which role models they should look up to while smearing the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Holy day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we said some things today, and we challenged some of the primary doctrine that is running modernity. If you disagree with our take on MLK, just listen to this episode. Give it a fair hearing. Just say, hey, maybe I don't agree with Charlie. Maybe I think he's the best person to live in the 20th century and that he's worthy of worship, which is effectively what this society demands. Then fine, just listen to the episode and maybe you'll learn something. We talk about the positives. And then we also get into some of the other implications of this. We're a truth-seeking show. But I can say declaratively, this guy is not worthy of a national holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's really harmful.
The gross take even got some pushback and criticism from black conservatives like Pastor Darnell Scott, Armstrong Williams, and the Blaze's Delano Squires. And reading tweets like this about newly hired New England Patriots coach Gerard Mayo, where Kirk twists Mayo's words about race to claim that Mayo will discriminate against white players. It's no surprise that he chopped it up with the one and only Jason Whitlock to defend and double down on his bigotry. As usual for Jason Whitlock's terrible show.
The response was disappointing because some people, instead of dealing with the substance and or my very public track record of hating bigotry and racism and also associating with people of all sorts of different backgrounds, they started to call me racist. And I'm not saying it's because of this, but Black America was getting richer, they were getting stronger, and families were largely still put together before the Great Society, Voting Rights Act, and Civil Rights Act. 60 years later, Black America is in a worse position. I'm not saying it's because of the Civil Rights Act. I'm not saying it's because of the Voting Rights Act, but somewhere something went awry. Kind of going off your speech, I could have done the old conservative thing. I could have hid in the corner, said, you know what, I'm so sorry, how dare I? Because I saw the chatter increasing. I saw the right-wing intelligentsia saying, no, Charlie, it's a career ender. You don't do this. You just say MLK was awesome, and you don't ask questions, and you just kind of walk away. I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I think that kind of attitude is destructive and wrong. And we felt the pressure that day. We were getting text messages of people saying, Charlie, this is going to end your career. Charlie, you'll never be back in decent circles. And I said, you know what, honestly, I don't subscribe to that. I'm going to trust the Lord. I know what we're saying is true. I was disappointed because I said, listen, guys, you could hate what I'm doing. You could criticize it. But if you're just going to throw the R word around like a Frisbee because I dare to question somebody who I consider to be a false idol of the modern cult of anti-racism.
Whitlock nodding along with approval is all the proof you need to know that Kirk is hitting all of the right-wing talking points. Characterizing his racist opinions of MLK as valid criticism allows Kirk to use free speech as a crutch to shield him from criticism of what he and Whitlock are trying to do here, whitewashing both the continuing and historical racially motivated crimes that our country was founded on, while demonizing anyone who wanted to correct the historical wrongs.
The thought, of course, is there's only one person in the 20th century that gets a federal holiday, and it's Martin Luther King. I can name at least a dozen people more deserving in the 20th century of a federal holiday than MLK. There are much better figures, such as Billy Graham in the 1960s, who had a lot more to do with the passage of the Civil Rights Act, who gets no credit than Martin Luther King. People forget Billy Graham had White House Oval Office meetings. Billy Graham led the Crusades for a moral awakening. What I'm trying to counter is the reason we talk about race so much is because we have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time. We celebrate the Civil Rights Act more than the American founding.
Kirk rehashing this old played out argument is just another sad attempt to tell people to shut up about conversations about racism and race in America. Because to Kirk and other conservatives, racism can't exist if you don't talk about it.
The multi-decade incubator of DEI was housed in the Department of Justice post the Civil Rights Act. The attitude, the enforcement, the precision that the DEI bureaucrats operate with was all workshopped in the Department of Justice in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And just now are we seeing it in corporate America, and we've seen this cancer metastasize. What started as a good intention to try to eradicate the injustices of saying that, only whites can eat at the restaurant has tragically metamorphosized into a beast that has even more hatred than some of the elements of the antebellum South.
You heard that right. Charlie Kirk thinks that the Civil Rights Act and its legacy have brought about more hate than the antebellum South. This is what real-world white supremacy looks and sounds like. And as much as we'd like to ignore the Jason Whitlocks and the Charlie Kirks of the world, this rhetoric simply cannot go unchecked.
I put this in my ears, and I have...
Now, see, what I don't like, how he just went out of his way, on his way to work. You just had to say that about Juneteenth. You had to say that about Juneteenth.
Okay, everybody, a lot of people are going to be saying Happy Juneteenth. It should not be a federal holiday, and I'm on my way to work. Have a good day.
It wasn't affecting you at all. It wasn't affecting you. And my thing is, who are you to speak on Juneteenth? I mean, he's concerned about white America being slandered by us.
Look who's most excited that this is a federal holiday. And they're not talking about this as a massive celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Now we have a full day to be able to smear and slander white America.
That we're going to be doing that on Juneteenth. Me personally, every time Juneteenth came around, we were not talking about slandering white America. The jokes I would hear at best is like, damn, his job paid him extra, my job didn't pay me extra, things like that. Those would be the jokes I would hear. But it has nothing to do with it. He just, I couldn't believe when he said that, like, man, you're concerned that we're going to be slandering white America, And also how he's just saying, I shouldn't feel these things. I shouldn't feel this way, or it brings this out of me. My thing is, so you say because of these things in place, it gets you thinking this and feeling this, and you don't want to feel this way. You shouldn't feel this way. Don't blame it on that. Is it because you always felt this way and it's awakening it? Don't act like it just placed those feelings in you. No. And the things you would say in terms of the video clips, he probably said things about other ethnic groups, but why black people? Why? You didn't give an example with Asian person, Mexican person, Indian person, or just foreigners. Why you say moronic black woman? You just could have said black woman. One thing, if I see a black person that's a pilot, I hope he's qualified. So it's like when you say stuff like that, rather if you're racist or not, it doesn't come out right. It does not come out right.
Talking about their brain power. All of them either graduated from Harvard, Yale. You know where he graduated from? Harper College.
Who?
I don't even think he went to college.
He didn't go to college.
Charlie Kirk.
He didn't go to college.
Harper, somebody said Harper College.
He never graduated.
He might have.
Oh, say that part again.
He never graduated.
He never graduated.
He talks about it. That's one of his talking
Okay,
points.
so what right does he have to say to women who have graduated from Harvard and Yale their brain power, and you didn't even finish?
As far as I know, he didn't even go. He started a foundation.
You're not making the argument better.
There's a lot of things black people can be qualified for, but there was a time, if it doesn't happen now, where you have a qualified black person and they still won't get the job just because they're going up against another white person putting in for the job. And they'll automatically lose, and then a white person will get the job. I mean, that has happened so many times before. And again, with the whole I hope he's qualified thing, why use a black person as an example? Why? As if there's no way we just can't be qualified. On my friends list, he's a viewer of mine. He's a pilot, and he's black. You know? It's like, you know what? I should ask him what was his thoughts about that. But when you say little slick stuff like that, then saying Martin Luther King was awful, it's like he have this like dislike for Martin Luther King. You know, yeah, he had thrown his little quick, nice things he'd say about him, which wasn't a lot, but. Man, out of nowhere, so you say moronic black woman, the black woman, they don't have the brain processing power. I hope he's qualified. Then you talk shit about Dr. Martin Luther King, and then you say black people we were better off during slavery and segregation and Jim Crow. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? You were saying at some point. I mean, well, what happened? And you see, matter of fact, this was the clip from Jubilee when he said that, and. I never thought I would say this. I never thought I would say this, but they kept talking at the same time. She was talking over him. He kept talking, and I'm glad she kept talking. I never thought I'd say that. Because when I first seen that, at first, yeah, she seemed very, very annoying, but I'm glad she kept talking. And when she asked him that classic question, I'm glad he listened to that. And I think he said, well, yeah, sure, maybe. Yeah, I guess.
Question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation. But I guess,
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been.
That affected
80 years.
The generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that.
And again, I'm glad he was able to catch that question, acknowledge it, and agree with it. Even though he was trying to hurry up and get to his point, so he was just like, yeah, sure, yeah, whatever. I get that. But it's still a valid point within that question because, you got to think about it. He asked what happened. Crime was a lot lower back then for black people than how it was now. I mean, why, like, the fact that he said that, why do you think crime was lower? What were your people doing? You're saying, oh, blacks commit more crimes now than what they did back in Jim Crow, so it was better for them back then. That was some dumb shit to say. But what were your people doing? Committing all types of crimes and atrocities. The beatings, the lynchings, the blatantly open racial remarks, everything. Couldn't even look at a white woman without something happening. And real quick, we've all seen the movie Sinners. Great movie. I've watched a lot of YouTubers react to that movie. And a lot of people would laugh at this scene. I didn't take offense that they laughed at it because they probably didn't know. Some did, but I could tell they just didn't know. The time when it was Smoke. I think it was Stack and Sammy. And the one girl, I forget her name, when she came over, he said, don't look at her. Don't look at her. Everybody was laughing. They was laughing. I don't know if they took that as a joke, but that was some real stuff. Back then, we couldn't even... Well, someone at like, for Sammy, sharecropper, he just to be looking at a white woman staring like that, even glancing, no, that wasn't a thing back then. What else back then? A white woman, white people, period, could just lie on a black person and kill them, beat them, burn down their homes, anything, just off of a lie. And then for a black person, if we was to talk back, we'd probably get beat, hit, and keep in mind, this was after slavery. So once the slavery was over with, still putting up with the bullshit. I go on and on with the atrocities that white people committed or the crimes they did. So with him saying, what happened? No. Why not bring up the shit your people is doing? So see that and when he says stuff like that, that's when it gets you thinking like, man, well, what type of time are you really on? Of course, one of his big talking points, I guess when someone would bring it up, is the gang violence. And as I said earlier, that was his last words. And the crazy thing is, he would say, I'm pretty sure he would agree with, especially him and Nick Fuentes. And I know they're not friends or whatnot, but you hear this a lot. Oh, black people, we're the most dangerous people. We're scary. We're monsters. We're this. We're that. You'll get shot. You'll get robbed. And here it is. He's in Utah, a super white state, on a super white campus. And look who took him out. Because not to sound racist, but when he got shot, I immediately thought like, yep, I bet the shooter is white. There's no way the shooter has been black. I just already know there's no way the shooter has been black. At second place, I'm thinking, okay, he may either be a foreigner, somebody from the Middle East, somebody out my butt. Black guy on that roof, the rifle, shooting at Charlie Kirk on an all-white campus, well, predominantly white campus in a hella white state. Nah. And right there, that's just crazy. So you're amongst your own, you got killed by your own. Then he said the Second Amendment is worth the cost of some gun deaths so we can have our God-given rights. Another thing he said, the 1964 Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Like, who says that? That shit is crazy. And look, a lot of people say he's racist. Some people say he's not racist. But I'm going to tell you this. When you have someone like him, the image he has to maintain, his notoriety, the fact that, he has a family, met the president, so many people in America, mainly white America, they look at him as the embodiment, the spirit of America. They look at him as like just the next coming of Jesus for America. Boy, they praise and worship this man like no tomorrow, and you honestly think he's just going to come out and say, yeah, I'm racist. I don't like those black people. I don't like the Asians, the Mexicans, people in the Middle East. Yeah, it's white or you're not all right. He's not going to come out and say that. But of course, you can say whatever you want to say, freedom of speech. But guess what? You're not free of consequences. That is the thing. And now people are feeling like, you know what? Fuck it. We're not just going to say nothing. Then some people are like, no, we're going to continue to express the First Amendment. Now, if you're like Nick Fuentes, I believe he said that he lives a very, very lonely life. He can't get multiple accounts. He's been banned here. And I'm just not even talking about social media. A lot of people don't want to be his friend. A lot of people are afraid to be his friend. A lot of people are afraid to socialize with him, not because of the image that he will that it will give them, but a lot of people really do not like Nick Fuentes. Some will argue, some don't. Some dislike Charlie Kirk more because but yeah, it's crazy. Like, so if I have to choose who was on their way going up, in terms of just status, being liked, going somewhere in life, etc., Charlie Kirk was beating Nick Fuentes by a long shot. He had more of an impactful voice. It seemed like he was the bigger guy, more important, more liked, more notoriety, etc. I think they didn't like each other. Yeah, I think Charlie kept calling Nick a troll, etc., things like that. They were basically enemies. So when you just have that image to maintain, when you're someone like Charlie Kirk, just, the white guy, the white family, everything, good for America. You're not going to come out and say it. We don't, that's the thing. A lot of you act like you knew this man. No, you knew him through a screen. You knew him when cameras were on. What really, a lot of times what really felt real was either when he would show, certain emotions. For example, like I said, when he was losing that debate, and I noticed anytime he would say negative things about black people, I noticed his tone, face, energy, vibe, mannerisms, everything would be a little bit more aggressive. And just like You can just go back and watch. Just listen to it. Watch it again. And then, like I said, the video he just made on his way to work. The front selfie video talking about Juneteenth. How is that going to help your platform? How is that going to make your day better? How? I guess you can say, well, he put on his platform or YouTube monetization, he got money out of it, but come on, it's not affecting you that bad. I'm just saying these same things. It seems like he has a problem the most out of damn near all the other groups of people. It seems like he has the problem the most with black people, because the things that he was saying, man, it's like, damn, you don't say that much. Like, but I'm not gonna keep repeating myself about it. I put the clips up. I said what I said. So anyway, that being said, man, I mean, hey, it is messed up that he was taken out like that. You can't even have an opinion, you know. Oh, that's another thing before I end it. A lot of people saying it's not so much he was having an opinion. It wasn't just your typical, nah, man, I like working out at home. No, man, I like working out at the gym. Why? Because this now free weights versus machines. No, it wasn't just that type. They said it was his purpose behind those opinions. Some say he was trying to transform or radicalize or whatever you want to call it, or push this on somebody. He was just trying to, you know, basically transform a lot of America through the youth, etc., or the adults as well. So they were saying it wasn't so much his fact that he was having an opinion. It was his purpose and agenda behind it. But hey, you all let me know down below. So with that being said, I'm not celebrating. I'm not going to make videos and memes and jokes about him being dead, but I'm not sad at the same time. So other than that, it's me, the Elite Ace. Thank you all for watching. Signing out.